That 17-play game-winning drive at the end of the game that sucked the life out of that Cardinals defense and just kind of slowly choked them. That's championship football. That's what they should have been doing all game long. Back at it again. It's the Football Playbook with your boy RIC, and the place to be here at the Jersey Shore, broadcasting around the universe on this Monday, October 10th, 2022. Thank you so much for coming and flying with me on this wonderful, sunny Christopher Colombo Day in Philadelphia, baby. Good morning. Buckle up. It's a double chin strap affair. Shout out to all the chat room people and the listeners waking up here with me today. Adams Exploits, Eric Gallagher, SMD. Oh my God, it's an overflow today. Stephen Michael, Robert Myers, where we checking in from today? Who was on that cross-country flight with my guy Gail Saunders taking over the stadium out there in Arizona? The Philly fans, the Philly faithful, rolling deep out on the desert. It was that kind of party, and hey, not every girl at the prom can always look so pretty. Hey, sometimes we got to take our warts where they may be, and that's the kind of victory it was yesterday, okay? Lot to get to here on this undefeated Monday. Philadelphia is still your only undefeated team in the National Football League. Oh, by the way, your boy RIC 12-3 against the spread on my NFL pick'ems that I gave you on Friday. 12-3 against the spread. Oh, baby, I'm gonna get into some NFL news and notes. I got the Football Playbook is overflowing with notes from the football weekend. The first hour of power will be strictly Philadelphia. I'm hoping for the second hour of power I can get some NFL news and notes, some college football shenanigans. Deion Sanders in the headlines. We'll get into all that. But good to see all of our greetings from across the pond. Nick Walker out there in London. What a game. Your New York Football Giants 4-1. We'll talk about that game. We'll talk about the South Jersey people in the chat room, the North Jersey people in the chat room, the Jersey Shore people in the chat room, my people down in North Kakalaka in the chat room. Man, if you got questions, we got answers. We're rip-roaring, ready to go, all fired up. Now, your Philadelphia Eagles, like I said, your best record in the NFL, and they did it in a way where, let's be frank, not a lot of teams in the NFL could be down 3 starting offensive linemen for parts of that game and still eke out a victory. 3/5 of that starting line from center to left, the entire left side at parts were all replacement players, backups. You know, Kelsey, Opeta, these guys stepped up. Kelsey stepped up and in a big way. Playing injured, we thought he might be out for the game. He was out there in the second half, ready to go. And so the offensive line steps up when needed. Now, I didn't like the fact that, the offense, you can have a little bit of criticism for everybody on this one. Whether you want to point fingers at Sirianni, Steichen, Gannon, Hurts, we could all improve off of this game. But the bottom line is you went across country, you pulled out the W. I thought that Miles Sanders, coming off the career game with a banged up offensive line, I figured to get more than 15 carries. We didn't see a lot of it in the first half. We saw it on the game-winning drive, and that's really all that matters. But you got to question, why did they get away from something that worked so well just a week ago? And hey, I'm sure we'll get answers in the pressers. I know that each week Sirianni says the game plan could change depending on the opponent, depending on a game plan, depending on the strategy. I got news for you. Despite the NFL being a passing league, at the end of the day, if you could play good defense, which the Eagles typically do, not so much yesterday, and you can run the ball, you'll go very far into the playoffs. And so they got away from Miles Sanders this week. The pass distribution, if you got bones to pick, okay, I hear you. Both Devonta Smith and AJ Brown had big drops in this game. Goedert came up. It was Goedert's day, and what he did after the catch and what he can do, in the short passing game. He takes screen passes and takes them and he converts them into first downs. This Dallas Goedert. Okay. So Goedert came up big. Devonta Smith came up big. 11 targets, 10 catches, 1 drop. Hey, listen, AJ Brown can't be running around with a Batman cape every single game. We talk about there's only, so many balls to feed. And so, hey, it wasn't AJ Brown's week this week. It wasn't Miles Sanders' week this week. And that's okay. That's okay. But the offense has a lot of room for improvement. Listen, no touchdowns, 0 touchdowns on the final 6 drives of offense. Again, the second half shenanigans. You want to see a more complete, well-balanced attack. And thank God, you're right. Adams exploits. Thank God for Dicker the kicker, who's not even an NFL fan, by the way. He doesn't even pay attention to the NFL unless he's playing on Sundays. And I'll tell you, we'll get into more of Dicker the kicker as we get into our game notes. But he gets a game ball. Dallas Goedert gets a game ball. And I got to say, Hassan Reddick on defense gets my game ball. And we just talked about the offense maybe not playing up to the standard, right, that we like to hear Sirianni talk about. I'd say the defense played below the standard. Our good friend Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, by the way, was getting picked on early and often, had that big interception. But I got to say, the middle of that defense, especially in the passing game during the first half, wide open. They were dinking and they were dunking and they were slanting and they were rocking and they were rolling. What's up, Richard Rosania? Welcome to the show, Paisan. All my chat room people. But they were struggling, and they struggled also against the run, I thought. I think Arizona averaged about 4.8 yards per carry, which is about what the Eagles have been allowing all season long. And I thought the run defense was streaky. There was some plays. Jordan Davis, who I think was out there on the first snap, did play his best game as a Philadelphia Eagle, I believe, that I saw. But the run defense has to step up. The pressure, we talked about this. We were not going to let Kyler Murray beat you outside the pocket. Okay, and they did a great job, I thought, keeping him inside the pocket. And, bad things happen when you do. That interception that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson had, that's Kyler Murray making a bad decision in the pocket, thrown into double coverage. So, Arizona was converting third downs all over the place. I think that's part of what you get when you prepare for Kyler Murray and a dual threat quarterback. You got to account for that. You got to account for Kyler Murray and his ability to improvise, but it was non-existent at all in the first half. And for most of the game, I'll get into more of that later on, but I think Kyler Murray only had, 4 rushes the entire game. And it wasn't until our good friend Hassan Reddick, he wanted that sack badly. He mentioned in his presser or his media session leading up to the game, he really wanted to stick it to Arizona. He wanted to show them what they let walk out of that building, and he did with a big clutch sack on Kyler Murray. Until that point, the backfield had been, or the pass rush had been pretty much non-existent, and it was for most of the day. Now, one thing that Gannon does deserve credit for, that he probably won't get credit for because, again, the defense or the offense didn't live up to the standard, okay, was I love the fact that he had Kaiser White when he was in the game, because Kaiser White only played 57% of the snaps. And when Kaiser White was in there, he was shadowing Kyler Murray. Kaiser White did a great job with the shadow on Kyler Murray. And when Kyler did run out of the pocket or try to scramble, there was Kaiser White. And you saw in a couple plays running them out of bounds, ending drives, and cutting off Kyler Murray when needed. So I thought Kaiser White played a tremendous game. I think that that game-winning drive, even though it didn't result in a touchdown, that was championship football. That's what good teams do. And you say, hey, Arizona's 2-3. They're not a good team. Rick, didn't you sit here on Friday and call them a fraud? Yes, I did. But it's still a team. Every team in the NFL is a tough out. And when you go half or across the entire country, on the road, in the desert, and you eke out a victory against a team that, can put up points in a hurry, that 17-play game-winning drive at the end of the game that sucked the life out of that Cardinals defense and just kind of slowly choked them. That's championship football. That's what they should have been doing all game long. And that's how you know that this team is not a fraud like the Arizona Cardinals a year ago, 7-0, atop the NFL, and then they floundered down the stretch. What did they finish? 11-6 last year. So the Cardinals were 7-0 and finished with a whimper. This Eagles team will not let you down. Buckle up. Buckle up. This Eagles team will not let you down. And, Jalen Hurts, my friends, he has won his last 8 regular season starts. Yes, the playoff game in Tampa was in there too. But if you go back to the developments of Jalen Hurts that we're still talking about going on in week 6, guys, this is your franchise quarterback. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it, okay? This Eagles team is going to run Jalen Hurts until the wheels fall off. Now, that's probably my biggest concern here as we sit in the NFL week 6, because while our friend Kyler Murray had only 4 rushing attempts, Jalen Hurts, I think, had 17. Woo! And that is going to be tough. And we talked about that week 1, where he had 17 rush attempts against the Lions. He took 20. That is going to be what dictates the Eagles season. The only team stopping the Philadelphia Eagles are the Philadelphia Eagles themselves. And Jalen Hurts, different kind of runner. Different kind of runner than Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is looking to extend the plays. He's looking to jolt the offense when needed. Hurts is just gutting it out, man. He's saying, yo, come fly with me. 3rd and short, 4th and short. We got you. Like Murray's an elusive scrambler. Hurts is a guy that 3rd and short, 4th and short. This guy has got to be, I'd love to see the numbers, Football Outsiders or Pro Football Focus or whoever keeps track of these things. I'd love to know the conversions of Jalen Hurts on 3rd and short and 4th and short, and I mean 2 yards or less. This guy, and I'll get into my recap, this guy, all he does is convert short yardage. Is there a more effective short yardage runner in the National Football League than Jalen Hurts? Now, it's a blessing and a curse because these are critical plays. We heard Hurts talk about it last week. He appreciates the confidence because Coach Sirianni says, I trust in Jalen. I trust in Jalen. I trust in Jalen. Well, eventually, too much trust can result in trouble. Eventually, you've got to find your Jordan Howard or your bigger back to lessen the blows, to lessen some of these unnecessary goal line hits. And I get it. Jalen's a big dude. Jalen can run you over. But like the coaches like to say, these other guys on the other side of the ball, they get paid too. They're pretty big, fast, and physical too. It's only inevitable. It's only inevitable in the NFL where you absorb so many hits as a quarterback. Eventually, it's going to catch up to you, right? See Lamar Jackson. See Michael Vick. See Kyler Murray, who was pretty mobilized this week. Pretty mobilized in the pocket. Hence, less dangerous. Less dangerous. Now, he almost pulled it out, but you've got to be worried about Hurts taking these hits. Can you sustain 17 plus? And if you're going to play in the Super Bowl, you're talking about 21 weeks. Can you sustain the style of football? I think a quarter of the way through the season, almost half the league has had to resort to their backup quarterback at some point already. And I see Stephen J. Patton can't get enough. He's in the chat room. Dylan Canapa just leaving Arizona. They got no voices left. And that's how it should be. Because I heard the Philadelphia fans outnumbered Arizona in that stadium yesterday. What was it, 60-40 Philly? Gail Saunders leading. They got 20 planes flying out there to Arizona. And the Eagles fans, the Boo Birds, out in full effect, rallying it up, okay? So now you come back home. You got the Dallas Cowgirls on Sunday Night Football. It's Cowboys week, oh, by the way. And we talked about the Packers, who lost to your Giants. We talked about the Bucks, who needed a phantom pass interference call to get by the Falcons. The Bucks don't look great. The Packers don't look great. The Cowboys, they took care of business, like I told you, against the Rams. Suddenly, this Cooper Rush, don't look now, Cooper Rush, baby. The Cowgirls at 4-1, this is your litmus test. Never mind November 27th against Green Bay. This week right here, right now, this is going to tell you who we're about and what is it about. What's it about and who we about this week with Dallas. I don't care if it's Cooper Rush. I don't care if it's Dak Prescott. Buckle up. It's a double chin strap affair, Sunday Night Football, baby. And we'll get more into that later on. I'll give you the latest on the Dak Prescott injury in hour 2 when we go around the league. I do want to get into some of these snap counts for those of you interested like myself. We talked about the offensive line stepping up. Lane Johnson, Isaac Seumalo, who played banged up, by the way, and Driscoll all played 100% of the snaps. Kelsey only missed 3 plays, believe it or not. So it felt like longer. So Cam Jurgens holding it down. But Opeta stepped in nicely. He played 47 snaps, 64%. Opeta really played a solid game, I thought, overall. Opeta deserves a game ball for the way he played, I felt. An unsung hero. And there wasn't too many penalties on the offensive line, I don't recall. There might have been one. I forget who it was. But with Mulata and even Dillard out, we'll see if we get one of them back this week. This offensive line was banged up going into the game. They were banged up during the game. And I thought they played. Stoutland deserves a game ball just for having this unit ready. And I think it did ultimately affect the game plan and the way that they called the plays. So, Goedert played 70 snaps. Jack Stoll had 30. Cal Cotrera had 10. For those of you weighing in on the tight end situations, they did go 12 personnel quite often that I saw. They also ran a lot of pistol formation, and they had Gainwell and Miles Sanders in the backfield there at times with Hurts and shotgun running that old pistol wishbone formation. The backfield by committee still in effect. Miles Sanders goes from 27 carries a week ago down to 15 this week. He plays 74% of the snaps, 54 snaps on the day. Kenny Gainwell, 16 snaps, and Trey Sermon only 3 snaps. Now, I think Sermon last week we saw more because Eagles were up in a closer game. You didn't really want to run the risk of putting Trey Sermon in a bad spot. And Boston Scott was out again. So we didn't really get to see a whole lot from Sermon, just 3 snaps. I don't recall him touching the ball. And then, in the slot, you had Quez Watkins, 43 snaps. Zach Pascal, 13 snaps on the offensive side. On defense, you've got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was the only player who played 100% of the snaps, and we talked about it. He had a big interception. He also got picked on a lot, so kind of up and down, streaky performance from CD Juice once again, who makes a lot of good plays, who's also still feeling his oats here and learning the defense here on the fly. TJ Edwards, 66 snaps. Hassan Reddick and Fletcher Cox, the defensive line, I love it. Again, they're preserving now. We talked about Reddick would have to play more this game due to some of those injuries at the defensive end. 48 snaps apiece for Reddick and Cox. They played 70% of the downs. Hargrave and Sweat played 67% of the snaps. And then Brandon Graham had 33 reps. Jordan Davis, 29 reps. So he's kind of still in the 20s, but getting close to the 30s. Been in the low 20s. Now he's approaching almost 30 snaps a game. Almost as many snaps as Brandon Graham, that Jordan Davis. And then Marlon T., who I think was also banged up during this game, 22 snaps. Milton Williams, 22. Teron Jackson, 12. And Kayvon Wallace getting in there for 3 snaps or so. So good defensive line rotation. Didn't yield a lot of pressure, but they get the job done. And that's all you can ask for on this week 6. Waking up as the lone undefeated team in the National Football League. Okay. So a great performance to go out in the desert and end the curse. Don't look now. Believe it or not, the Cardinals have not won a game at home in almost a full calendar year. In 50 weeks is the last time the Cardinals won at home. So they are the fraud that I call it, like I see it. Okay. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk more about the Giants and the Cowboys. Don't look now. The NFC East is 16-4. Woo! They went from being the NFC least to the NFC beast all of a sudden. That's why they play the games. So while all that strength of schedule is all fun and games, everybody talked about the NFC East. Well, they've got 4 of the 10. They've got 4 of the easiest schedules in the league according to your strength of schedule. Well, you could throw that out the window. It means nothing. Lugats. The Cowboys, the Giants, both 4-1, breathing down your neck. Maybe those are the teams you got to worry about in the NFC. By the way, our good friend Phil Simms, did you see his quotes? Whoa. Phil Simms made some quotes about this Philadelphia Eagle football team that'll make Seth Joyner even raise his eyebrows. I'll tell you what he said after this quick commercial break. Hey, it's the Football Playbook here on Monday, October 10th, 2022. Happy Christopher Colombo Day. Hit the like button. We'll be back right after this.